Thanks for tuning in to Retiring Well. We have a great show lined up for you today. Going to be talking about more benefits from Uncle Sam and Medicare, as well as what is a MYGA. That's something that you may want to listen into. What about waiting to take Social Security from a tax standpoint, along with 6 common retirement goals. So all this and more coming up right now on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
How are your Social Security benefits taxed? Well, wait a minute. Didn't you already pay tax when you paid into Social Security? You did, right? Okay. But that's often a question is, well, how much of my Social Security is going to be taxed when I start taking that in retirement? And you know, the IRS, they do have some difficult formulas, but they do make it a little bit easy for us to determine just how much your tax would be on Social Security. And basically what we got to do is figure out what your adjusted gross income is, and then we add half of your Social Security benefits to that figure. And then they've come up with 2 different thresholds to determine how much of your Social Security is taxable. So for a single filer, that threshold, the first threshold, starts at $25,000. So if you earn $25,000 up to $32,000, then up to 50% of your Social Security is going to be taxable. If you earn more than that, well, then you're going to have up to 85% of your Social Security is taxable at that point. For a married couple that files jointly, you have a little bit more wiggle room there, okay? So that first threshold, that number is $32,000. So if you earn less than that, well, then your Social Security probably won't be taxable, okay? But if you earn more than $32,000 but less than $44,000, then up to 50% of your Social Security is going to be taxable. And then if you guys show more income than $44,000 a year, well, then up to 85% of your Social Security is going to be taxable at that point. So, I mean, one thing, that's kind of the thing that we need to think about, right? We need to do some income planning and determine, okay, well, how much of your Social Security is taxable, and then plan for that. You might be thinking, well, those numbers seem a little low, and you know, in all honesty, they kind of are. So those thresholds were enacted back in 1983, and they haven't been adjusted for inflation since that point in time. So over 30 years, they've remained that way. So it's just very important to make sure that you understand, okay, what is taxable on my Social Security, and how can we account for that, and maybe what different strategies can we deploy to minimize those taxable obligations and maximize your income in retirement. So hopefully you found that valuable. Please, if you have any questions or want more information on how your Social Security is taxed, reach out to the number on the screen. We'd be happy to schedule a free, no obligation consultation to help you plan to retire well.
Hey, great segment there, Nick, on some of the benefits that might be there available in Social Security and in Medicare. You know, recently I just had a client, one of our clients, come in and explain to me that his mom had recently just sold her house, started a lifetime lease, and was worried about protecting some of that money that she had just received from the sale of her house. And so the first thing that we did is we said, okay, I understand what you're concerned about. Now let's look into some solutions. And here at Centennial Wealth, we have a few different estate planning attorneys that we use very, very closely when we have situations like that. And so what happens, what the solution was creating a good estate plan, okay, and putting people on your team that are dealing with this stuff each and every day. So if you're sitting there and you're worried about either your own situation or a loved one, feel free, reach out, give us a call. These are free, no obligation opportunities to learn about areas of your plan that might need some attention, and you can put some things in place that would help protect those assets.
Yeah, that's a great example of like Medicare spend down and the estate planning that we do here at Centennial Wealth. But it's just not estate planning. There's so many different parts of retirement that we tackle here at Centennial Wealth, to include Social Security planning as well. I mean, I had a recent case with a couple that was from the Mackinac area coming down to Gaylord. They were both already on Social Security, and one wanted to know how it was taxed, but we already covered that. But they also want to know, you know what, I want to do something in retirement. I don't want to just sit, do nothing. I want to work and earn some income. So the question for them was, okay, how much money can we each earn while we're still collecting Social Security? And then also, how does that affect how much of their Social Security is taxable, right? So based on them working together, it's actually individual how much they can earn. So they could earn about $19,000 a year, and they wouldn't be penalized for being on Social Security. So that really helped them develop a plan for retirement so that they knew, hey, we could count on this income guaranteed from the government, but also supplement that with income in part-time work. So hopefully you found that valuable. We love educating and getting all this information out to you. Please stay tuned. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about MYGAs, or multi-year guaranteed annuity products, and waiting until age 70 to take Social Security. You don't want to miss it.
Swing with swing shift. Swing shift and the stars.
When you have confidence in your retirement future, you can live the life you've always imagined. Because of planning, you now have time to reflect on the wonderful memories of your life. You and your spouse finally have the luxury of leisure time together. To spend fun times with your grandkids, sharing the joy of their excitement about life. Smiling at the thought of quality time with your children and of picking up the check. At last, you have time to breathe and rekindle the love of your life. Why? Because you imagined what could be. You planned for retirement. So today, you own your future.
Let's take a few minutes here and talk about maybe something you have or haven't heard before or wondered maybe more what it was about. So MYGA, M-Y-G-A. And in the industry here, that's what it's called, a MYGA, but basically it's a multi-year guaranteed annuity. So it's a predetermined set amount of time with a predetermined fixed interest rate. So liken it slightly to a CD at a bank. However, it's important to know though that these, because annuity is owned by an insurance company, so it's not going to be FDIC insured or something like maybe most CDs would be. So keep that differentiation there. So predetermined amount of time predetermined interest rate. Typically how these work is, while you have this contract in place, you deposit the money with an insurance company. They're going to pay you this set of interest during that time period. At the end of that time period, you're going to receive back the premium or the initial deposit that you put in, along with the interest that contract has earned over that time, assuming you haven't taken any distributions. Now, typically, each company is going to have kind of its own set of rules or boundaries that this contract is going to have. Obviously, the time and the interest rate is one of them, but also the ability to withdraw money. Some of these that we've seen over the years allow no distributions during that time period. Others allow you to take the interest out every year, and others allow you to take up to maybe 10% of the contract value per year if you would like to. So be aware of those different nuances of those contracts if that's something you're going to get into. Also, the other thing to note is what happens when you're gone? What if you were to, in the middle of this contract, pass away? Well, most of these allow you to list beneficiaries, so your heirs would allow you to receive that initial deposit that you put in plus any interest owed. Now again, each company is going to be different by the different rules they have for that. Some are going to return to you what they call surrender value, meaning even though you passed away, there's a penalty for getting your money out, and others are going to just return the account value without penalty. So be aware of those as you are looking into these. Oftentimes these are somewhere between 2 and 10 years in length. So you can get these for a couple years, a little shorter term, and all that is stretching out there. As usually, the longer the term, the higher the rate. Not always, depending upon how the interest is being calculated, but a lot of times you'll find a sweet spot somewhere along the line there. And you ask, maybe where these could play a role or how could these fit into this? Maybe you have money that's in savings that is above and beyond your liquidity needs that you're going to need in the foreseeable future. Maybe you wouldn't mind tying some of that up. Maybe there's some funds that you just don't want to expose to market risk. Might be an opportunity to just have a fixed rate. So if you're looking for money out there that maybe fits some of these things or maybe an alternative to some other investments, give us a call. We'd love to walk through the current interest rates with that and see if this would be a fit for your particular portfolio.
We do what our name implies. We help veterans that are having trouble. Could be with home expenses, could be with problems from health or issues that the VA just can't cover or can't cover quick enough. We pride ourselves in being a 24-hour response team. We have a 10-member board, all volunteers. 95% of the money that we bring in goes to veterans.
It's a great honor for all of us here in the Centennial Wealth Advisory team to be part of this event because it's a small way we can give back to these veterans that have helped our lives in so many ways in going to battle for us and fight for our freedom. We're so appreciative of that, and then we're so excited to enjoy this day with many veterans out here, and so that this Veterans in Crisis organization can give back to the local Northern Michigan community in so many meaningful ways.
We have very little overhead. We don't have any offices. We just we work from our bootstraps, so to speak. But we do this with support of the community and corporate sponsors, not the least of which is Centennial Wealth, and we've been blessed to have them on board for several years now, and it's just a tremendous partnership that we've been able to have with them. We can't tell you enough how much we appreciate their support and the support of the community.
We're excited to be here at Lock and Heath today with for the 5th annual Veterans in Crisis golf outing. Centennial Wealth Advisory has been a proud sponsor for several years now, and we're just grateful for those serving all of Northern Michigan and those in the military and those that have served before us. We're grateful for that and all that Veterans in Crisis does for the community.
I'm one of the founding members of Veterans in Crisis. It is an entirely volunteer organization, but I wanted to get involved in something worthwhile, and I can't think of anything more worthwhile than serving our veterans.
I love hearing the Coast Guard helicopter in the background here. We're out here supporting our veterans.
with Veterans in Crisis Memorial Golf Outing. It's a fundraiser to help those that have served before us. And here at Centennial, we love to have that servant heart that so many of those brave soldiers have had before us. They led the way, and we love to follow that.
I'd like to share with you this idea about maybe waiting to take Social Security from a tax perspective. So again, it may or may not make sense for you, so take that into consideration. But when you're looking at it, you're looking at what are the tax implications of drawing your Social Security. So one thing you may or may not be aware of is you're taking this calculation of roughly half of your Social Security plus all other income. And then that creates this MYGA, or modified adjusted gross income, and that number then factors into whether you fit different thresholds. So if you're a married couple, that's $32,000 of MYGA, or a modified adjusted gross income, where up to 50% of your Social Security could be considered taxable. Meanwhile, if you're at $44,000, then it could be upwards of 85% of your Social Security would be taxable. And these are for 2022. And then for single taxpayers, that's $25,000 of MYGA for up to 50% of Social Security is taxable. And then at $34,000, upwards of 85%. So looking back, taxation on Social Security started back in 1984. And a little side fact here, if you really want some exciting reading, you can go to ssa.gov, look at history and then taxation on benefits, and you'll see that some amendments occurred back in 1993 that had these different thresholds that I just mentioned, but they haven't changed since. So we've been going off of these now for approximately 30 years, had these same thresholds, yet obviously we've had a rise in income over that same time frame. So where you need to be aware is when you're going to be drawing from your IRAs, because all of your IRA 401k income is going to be taxable to you, and so that's going to have a major impact on your Social Security taxation. So one potential idea may be drawing from your IRA and delaying your Social Security. So then that way your Social Security grows by approximately 5% between age 62 and your full retirement age, and then upwards of 8% from your full retirement age to age 70. But good news is now you've grown your Social Security if you've pushed it out to age 70, but the bad news of that scenario is maybe you've drawn down from your 401k IRA savings. But you may have set yourself up then for a lower tax liability down the road. So if you're hearing all this information and not quite sure what direction to go, we encourage you to give us a call. We're happy to sit down with you and discuss your retirement income plan.
Art did a great job there going over somewhat of a unique product that you don't hear a lot about in those multi-year guaranteed annuity products. Here at Centennial Wealth, we're independent, so we just shop around. We find those best products that are out there to meet our clients' needs. And you know, when I think of the MYGAs, or the multi-year guaranteed annuity product, essentially what comes to mind, it's almost like it's the annuity industry's version of a CD. Okay, I mean, because that's really what they're about. about. They're going for principal protection, so that's safety, and then some sort of guaranteed interest rate or interest return on that product. And you know, for a lot of clients here at Centennial Wealth, putting a portion of their assets over into those products that can't go backwards but still get a guaranteed rate of return makes a ton of sense. In fact, what we're doing a lot right now is laddering those different term lengths for those multi-year guaranteed annuity products. I mean, when you think of it, in the olden days, you used to do those CD ladders. Well, this can be done in the same respect with those multi-year guaranteed annuities. And I know, Jack, you've done that in the past a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Nick. And you know, these rates change frequently. In fact, we're looking at them almost on a daily basis as the Feds have continued to raise interest rates. You know, there is some silver lining in what these MYGA rates have done. You know, these are subject to change, but just a quick little example of what's out there. You know, there's 2-year MYGAs at 3.4 to 3.5% as we sit. There's also a 3-year that might range in the 4 to 4.25%. And then if you go out 5 years, you might be able to find that 4.6% return. And what we love about them is they're so simple. They have that principal protection, and they have that contractual return. We've been using these in a couple different places. Sometimes people have savings account money, we might call it lazy money, and it's not earning anything. And they say, yep, let's go for that 2-year, know exactly what we're going to get in return. Or we might have somebody in a qualified account, in an IRA, and they say, hey, we need to prepare for our RMDs. Okay, well, we're going to put some money in these fixed annuities so that we can withdraw from no market risk money. And so, hey, if that's any interest to you, please feel free to reach out, give us a call, and stay tuned. Coming up next, 6 common goals for retirement. Stay tuned.
If you like watching Retiring Well, make sure to go to youtube.com/retiringwell and click the subscribe button to never miss any of our TV shows and other informative videos.
Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
Having a goal or a vision for anything you want to accomplish is going to be important, but especially when that comes to retirement. So first thing that I'd encourage you to do is set a retirement budget. Nobody likes to talk about budget and all of that, but it's so vital when you've worked so hard to save this money for your retirement, but then to turn around and start spending that money is going to be crucial to knowing what amount you're looking to spend in retirement. Number 2, plan maybe a milestone event. So set a savings goal for a big trip that you've always dreamed of. And there's that excitement of planning and something that you look forward to upon retirement. Number 3, maximize your health. Here in Northern Michigan, it offers plenty of different exercise opportunities for you, whether that's inside or there's plenty of beauty outside. Fun sport that I recently started here at Centennial Wealth Advisory with the team here. We've been playing pickleball, and that's one that I strongly encourage you to go out and try if you haven't already, as well as having just a balanced diet and trying to avoid stress is going to help you in your retirement and health. So number 4, what about discovering new interests? Maybe that's joining some type of gardening club. Maybe there's different art classes, or a lot of clients talk about how they've always dreamed of traveling and they bought the RV or travel trailer of some type, and now they're traveling across the country visiting all these different areas that they enjoy now so much. So what about volunteer work? Maybe there's an area in the world that you've really enjoyed being a part of, whether that's building, or maybe it's working alongside children or other maybe seniors that need assistance. So there's a lot of different areas to help there. Number 5, something you may want to consider for your retirement is maybe downsizing your home. What if now's the time to sell the bigger house and move to something a little bit smaller that's more fits your needs a little bit better? And with that, maybe your goal has always been to pay off the mortgage. So focusing on that, and maybe if you're able to downsize to a smaller home, then that'll work. Or maybe it's looking at a different location. The last that I want to share with you is this idea of legacy planning. In retirement, maybe you get to a stage where you realize, okay, I'm not going to spend all this money, or maybe I have a desire to leave funds behind to children or grandchildren. Maybe it's a church or charity that you really want to help them and leave a legacy. So that's something that can be very important to a number of you. So if you don't necessarily have a plan here for your retirement, we welcome you to give us a call here at Centennial Wealth Advisory.
Hey, what a great segment by John there. And as I was listening to that, it reminded me of a podcast that I was listening to recently. And the person was talking about, a lot of people, they just spend their time. And not a lot of people invest their time. If you think about it from an investment standpoint, if you have an investment, you might expect a return on that investment. And the overlay was people in retirement, they just spend their time. And at the end of it, sometimes they wonder what they have to show for it. And then you see those people that are very intentional, and you see a lot of return on how they've spent their time. I think they invested their time. So one of the great things that we get to do here at Centennial Wealth is help people figure out how to invest their time in a meaningful and purposeful retirement. I know, Nick, you get to run across some situations up in the Gaylord office.
Yeah, I mean, that's my favorite part about this job, is getting to understand what your goals are and then being able to help you accomplish those goals. We had a great couple that I met just recently out of the Gaylord office that had an old family cabin in the family, and it was on an island actually just north of Gaylord, and their one goal in retirement was to invest their time fixing that old family cabin up. They had it all mapped out. They were going to do this over a couple of years, but it was just so neat to see their enthusiasm and their excitement to finally be able to accomplish this goal and get this cabin all fixed up so that their grandkids could enjoy it with them later in life. And that's, like Jack was saying, one of our greatest aspects about this job. One of the things we just love to do is helping you work to accomplish those goals in retirement. And again, we love educating you as well, so we thoroughly hope you enjoy these episodes and all the information that we can pass on to you. But please check us out on YouTube as well. You can go to YouTube /Retiring Well, and we've got a ton of great more episodes out there for you to check out. But come back next week, same time, same station, a lot of great information for you. Take care.